Welcome to Be Locally Loved, where we spotlight beloved local businesses, charities, community leaders, and creative connectors who are building stronger communities through trust, connection, and serving others well. Let's explore what it means to be locally loved. Moving to a new town can feel overwhelming. You don't know where to go, you don't know what to do, you don't know who to trust. That's where Be Local comes in. Like a best friend, Be Local personally welcomes newcomers and connects them to the best local businesses, restaurants, community events, so they can feel at home faster. And for local business owners, Be Local is like a matchmaker, introducing them to new families who are ready to form long-lasting and local relationships. To grow your business by reaching newcomers, visit reachnewcomers.com. Okay, everybody, today I'm so excited to introduce you to my friends Alison Scoby and Jason Evers-Hellmich, publishers of Be Local Elk Grove and Be Local Sacramento. These are two people who are doing something really special when it comes to building community. For the past 6 years, they've been helping new residents not just move into a home, but truly feel like they belong, while also shining a light on the great local businesses that make their community what it is. They launched their first publication in Elk Grove, and what started as simple but powerful mission, it quickly grew, expanding into Sacramento, and now they serve two Northern California's fastest growing communities. And the impact has not gone on unnoticed. They have become consistent top performers across the Be Local network, earning Founders Club every year, winning the Solid Rock Award, and leading the country in renewals for the past 2 years. They were also honored locally as New Business of the Year by their chamber. What I love most about Alison and Jason isn't that just what they built, it's how they think about this work. They don't just see it as marketing, they see it as connection. With backgrounds in sales from cut to door-to-door home security, they understand people. And when they built their business around relationships, trust, and long-term partnerships, reaching tens of thousands of people through their publications and a social community of more than 25,000 followers, they believe strong communities are built intentionally, and that as our cities grow, belonging doesn't just happen, it's created. And through their publications, their partnerships, and the community they've built, both in print and online, they're helping bridge the gap between longtime residents and new families, making sure no one feels like a stranger for long. And at their core, they're connectors. They share a love for travel, discovering hidden gems, and creating meaningful experiences, which is exactly what drew them to Be Local in the first place. They saw it as a way to bring a local travel guide to their city, and in doing so, they have helped countless families and businesses feel more connected. And the impact speaks for itself, not just in their awards or their retention, but in the stories from residents who say, "This made me feel like I belong." So today, we're going to dive into their journey, what they've learned along the way, and what it really looks like to build a business that strengthens an entire community. Welcome, Alison and Jason.
Thanks for having us, Laura.
Thanks, Laura. We're excited
So
to be
great
here.
to have you guys here today. I'd love to start by leaning into how your travels inspired you to join the Be Local team and be pioneers in the Be Local brand.
Totally. You want to start?
Yeah, so Jason and I have traveled pretty extensively. And when we travel, one of the things that we love is kind of getting off the beaten path a little bit and finding the coolest adventures and places to go. And one of the things that I loved through our travels is we had this book called Lonely Planet that told us like all the coolest places to go. It gave like recommendations for like different adventures you can go on, from like places to stay, like hidden gem restaurants. And it was kind of like somebody telling me all of the coolest spots to go. And then when that's one of the things that we use to make sure we plan our travels with. And it didn't feel just like a travel guide. It didn't feel like going online. It was like somebody who knew all the coolest things that was giving you all the secrets to it. And it was kind of funny. Like as I was traveling in my mind, one of the things I was always like, man, if I could do a different job in this total alternate universe, I wish I worked for Lonely Planet, because sharing all like the coolest stuff with people.
It was pretty cool too, Laura.
Yeah.
Our previous sales job, we would work really, really hard for about half the year, and then we'd have about half the year to kind of experience life and travel. Allison's the one that really drew me into that world. We started with a trip to Colombia that was 6 weeks, and then our big trip was a 4 month trip through Southeast Asia. But the way we did it, it was kind of a one way. We got there, and we didn't really have an agenda. We just were part of the community. And we leaned on this guide, and then we also leaned on the locals. Like our favorite thing to do was to sit at a coffee shop and strike up a conversation with either another traveler or a local and ask, "Hey, what should we do? What's fun? Where should we go?" So it was cool to kind of see that evolve into Be Local because, like Allison said, we're like this Be Local opportunities. Kind of we can create the same thing except for our own local community.
Yeah, tell us how you've brought that spirit into your Be Local. You have two Be Locals, so both of your Be Locals.
We do have to be locals. One thing that was kind of interesting with our business when we first started it, we're not initially from Sacramento. Neither of us. We're not from Elk Grove. When we first moved to the area, it was literally like a couple months before we started our magazine of all the best places to get to know. And we literally knew none of them when
Wow.
we first moved here, like none.
Yeah.
So I remember us sitting in appointments and talking with like longtime locals and them being like, "Oh, of course, you know about this, right?" And we're like furiously taking notes, going, "Not quite, but we definitely will." And we kind of discovered what it's like to fit into the community and discover all the local spots as new movers ourselves when we were first launching our first magazine.
We were kind of creating the guide for ourselves, which I find a lot of good businesses, that's how they start, is people create it for what they would like. And I think
That's
that's how
right.
we went about
The other thing that we found was we weren't necessarily the experts at that point in all the local spots. So Jason and I really made a point of doing what we could to find the experts in each area. Like we went out and found and met the top local foodie in all Sacramento to work with him to put together a restaurant guide. Same thing in Elk Grove. We found the local mom who'd been to all 108 parks in Elk Grove and blogged about them, which ones had the bathrooms. Jason and I don't have kids, so being able to work with someone like that who has that perspective, we were really purposeful with all of the different individuals and businesses and people that we've worked with to put all these local tips together. Um,
Yeah, I think that's really the spirit of Be Local and kind of goes back to our traveling. We tried to find the people that we would have wanted to find when we were traveling, also when we were new. And we let the book and the platform really be the voice of the community. And I think that's what makes Be Local special and gives it kind of the legs to grow.
Yeah, let's lean into the content. Like, what are the articles that you guys have in there that make this such a desirable thing that people want to hold on to?
I think there's a number of them. It wasn't just like stuff you can quickly go on Google and find. One of the things, like in Elk Grove, which is where we have our first magazine, they have over 100 parks in the city. So as they were building it initially, they were trying to do, I think it was a one park per like 100 homes. So all these different parks are like tucked away in all different areas of the community, and every single park has a different theme. And it's really hard to figure them out. Some of them, there's like a music park and a dinosaur park. So one of the cutest articles was the family who made a project with her and her three kids of going to every single one of them and blogging about all the different themes and which ones had the bathroom, which ones had the zip lines. And it was like a really cool way for new residents to be able to explore their community when they're new and check off different places to go.
I think one of the best terms I've heard from one of our readers is it's like a bucket list book. And actually, I don't know if I ever told you this. Like when I was younger, I remember back in my youth, Laura. I always
You're
thought it was a
still
fun.
young, Jason.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. But my friends, when we would go out, we would have like a checklist and we would do something just like that. And it was a great way to meet somebody. You'd go up and be like, "Hey, we're looking for the best, places to go grab a drink or places to get food or fun activities." And we would go through and we would check them off. So I think that's what people are looking for when they first move to an area, whether they're traveling or settling in, moving just across town or from a different city, is like, how do I be appointed? So we really designed it to be that bucket list book.
One of the other cute articles we have is on history of the area in Sacramento. And I think that a lot of people, when they move here, that's not one of the first things they gravitate towards is how do I find history books and learn the history of the area and have it in an approachable way. So when we first met with the Historical Society in Sacramento, the president, Greg Lukenbill, who actually used to also own the Sacramento Kings, doubles as a historian.
He really
Wow.
knows his history.
Okay.
Very
Okay.
impressive. Very impressive.
We sat down with him to put together ideas for the content for how to get it across in like a fun, creative way. for new residents. And so, like, one of our really fun articles in Sacramento is different points of interest tying in history with a photo scavenger hunt. It's a selfie contest, being able to go around to different areas, take a photo of yourself in some of those different historical areas. And inside the book, we were able to, in a really fun, creative way, mesh like a little bit of a fun activity mixed with a little bit of history that helps people get to know some of the background of their city in like a really fun, approachable way for history.
I
And it
love that
helps
so much.
more, I feel like, come a little bit more, I guess, like proud of some of their city.
Well, and it's so much more than just like Googling. Like you guys have done the hard work to find these hidden gems and these treasures and these nuggets of history that you're serving up through Be Local, and you're making it so easy for people. I think that's one of the beautiful things about Be Local is that it's curated for that new mover to discover all of these things, right?
Hmm.
Sure. Yeah, I think that again, it goes back to like think of when you travel, like you want to know what the locals love. And some of the best things you find are the things that are unexpected that takes people, 10, 15, 20 years to find. And having that adventure was something that was fun. And the idea that we could turn it into a business model, I think was really exciting for
Yes. So you guys have been with the brand now since 2000, right?
yeah.
Then October 2020 is when we had the first issue of Be Local Elk Grove.
We say we're COVID babies. Our first issue was scheduled to come out in what, April of
April
2020.
1st.
So that was that was a fun time.
Hey,
But yeah.
that's actually when I launched my first one was April of
Did
Yep.
you?
2020. So I'm right there
Yeah.
with you. Yeah. And you guys have grown to be leaders in the market. Talk to me about the opportunity for a local business. What does Be Local provide for a local business that wants to get connected?
Sir.
Do you want to answer? I think there's a number of different things. I think the first thing, and I love how you've started this conversation with this podcast of being locally loved and being a part of the community. Again, I know for us, like I think everybody really wants to support community. I think just as humans, drawn to community and connection. And I think Be Local was a way to create something special for the community and for these business owners to brand themselves as someone that's trusted and the go-to. And I think even for us too, the fact that we've moved around and traveled so much, we realize that a new mover and someone that's new, they see the world in a different way. Like they're not ingrained in their habits.
Right.
And the simple thing for us, like even when we moved across town ourselves, we had this idea we're gonna try so many different things. We're gonna go everywhere and do all this. But the reality is, and we're adventure people, after you do two, three, four, five, you find one or two that you really like, and then you keep going back to the same ones because that's what you know and trust. And I think Be Local creates a huge opportunity for a business to capture these people that ultimately are going to be loyal, but in that moment, they're still figuring it out. And if you can be that first impression and come across in a way that you're a part of the community, that's the opportunity to establish a lifelong salesperson, really, if you do it right.
The other thing I think too for businesses, unless their brand is seen around town, they have to work for it. They don't have the same scalability as like a huge big box company or Amazon or something that's like everybody knows of. Amazon and some of those like big box companies, like they have their place. They're good for convenience. Sometimes you can do really well with price. But for a local business, you have to make sure people know who you are. Like there has to be a reason that they pick going with you instead of somebody else. And unless people recognize your brand, they associate it with like good positive feelings. They see you around town, they see you involved in the community. The easier choice is oftentimes to go with the big box. So I think that small businesses have to make sure that they're putting themselves in a place to be seen first and be seen first in the right way
Yeah.
as a business who gives back and supports the community. And I think a local business has to be really intentional about it. And I think we're the perfect source or one of the perfect sources for being able to do that because it's Be Locals in such a trusted way. Like from the people that we've selected to work with to how we put the book together, being able to be associated and seen in that way for somebody who's brand new as they're kind of starting to make selections on choices, I think is really powerful.
Talk to me more about the trust behind Be Local. How do we know that Be Local is trusted? How do we make sure that Be Local is trusted?
Yeah, so I think that we've done a pretty good job of being authentic in everything we've done. Like I think authenticity is really important. Everything from like the local people that we've chosen to work with, that when you look them up, they're trustworthy in the community. People follow them for their advice, whether it's for history or for food recommendations or like a local mom. So the people that we've chosen to associate ourselves with and work with.
I think one thing too, that when we put together the content originally, we started with doing a lot of the content and we leaned on those people and asked them, who do you trust? And one thing that was neat about Be Local and, our background just in sales is we can choose who we approach and who we want to work with. And I think early on we really leaned into like, hey, this is our reputation too, who we're including with Be Local. And early on it was really nice with the sales process. Some of my first businesses that I saw that didn't partner for whatever reason, maybe they wanted to see the book or whatever it was, but I asked every one of them, well, hey, who do you trust? Who should I get connected to? Who should I meet? And some of those were some of the most fruitful. And early on in Elk Grove, we got in a really neat circle of people that were old time business owners that were, they saw that the community was growing. And I think they saw that we were genuine about bringing together and doing this for the community, not doing it
For
for a
us and
business. Like we
business.
weren't doing
Right.
it to make a lot of money. We were doing it to, tell the story of the community. And I think when you do that, you attract the right people. And then not only that, you attract the right people and then they want to connect you with the right people. And it just, as long as you stayed true to that, I think it built more and more momentum. And if we sat down with it's not like we excluded people, but when we sat down with a business that didn't really fall in line with that, neither of us were just that interested. But again, you attracted the right people. That we had some businesses that were even like, I don't really need to advertise. I've been here 30 years. Like everybody knows me. I just really like what you're doing. I want to support it. And ironically, I think those are the businesses actually do the best with us because the readers in the community feel that is that they're giving back to the community. And so I think it's just the way you carry yourself consistently, I think really led to a lot of that.
Yeah. And, this podcast is meant to inspire people and business owners to help build community. So, can you guys speak to what you've seen happen? What is the impact of Be Local in the communities that you serve?
Well, one kind of just like funny example, not funny, but really cool example. Jason and I, back in September, we were at a event through the Board of Tourism, and it was really fun event. It's called Uncorked and Uncapped, and they brings together all of like the local breweries and wineries and top food spots. And Jason and I were sitting there chatting, and the vice mayor came up to us in Elk Grove, and he said, "What? How did
He's
it
like,
hit?"
be local, my people.
Oh,
And we kind of know, but Sergio's great. Like he's a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
he's like, my people. It was like he knew us.
He ran up
And
and he said, "I just wanted to let you know the stuff that you post on a weekly basis, I plan out my entire weekends based on what you guys put together as suggestions for the weekend." He says, "That's how every single week I check and I wait for Thursdays when you put up content, and I plan all my stuff around your Thursday content." So, and that
what
was
a
like a really
compliment.
cool,
yep.
powerful thing, having the vice mayor come up and say he plans his weekends based on stuff that Jason and I are putting together and curating for people.
Well, we've gotten that more and more too. I think everybody likes to have the lens of a, whether it's a child or a new person, but fresh eyes, right? And it's pretty cool as we were going through content and sharing people. You get these people that have lived for a long time and they're like, I didn't even know about that. I like that. So Be Local is unique in that it reaches the new mover, but it also has a way of permeating through the community too. Because communities are always changing, right? And you get stuck in your routines, but to discover these new things through a fresh, it's kind of like when a friend visits and you try to show them all the cool places around there. You're like, my community is actually really, really cool. I didn't
Yeah,
realize some of these things.
because we all become our little creatures of habit, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's so awesome. What other impacts have you seen in your community? Because I really want people to understand that Be Local raises the tide that lifts all boats in a community. Like when we show up to a community, it helps the businesses, it helps the newcomers, it helps the longtime locals, it helps the charities, it helps the city, it helps the civic leadership. It helps everybody. So can you tell us more stories of impact in your community?
Yeah. I've just like a couple residents that have actually reached out after they got the magazine. One was pretty funny. So Sacramento and Elk Grove have grown a lot, maybe over the last like 5 or 6 years. There's a lot of people that have left San Francisco and the Bay Area because they get a better quality of life here with cost of living, less traffic, with remote work. A lot of people have moved here. And there was a family or guy that Jason and I met at a little networking event. We were at a restaurant who was one of our partners. And the guy, we had our like be local name
Franklin,
tags
right?
on. His name was
Wasn't Franklin?
Franklin. And he noticed our name tag and he came up to us and he said, "Oh my gosh, you guys are the be local people." We were like, "Yes, we are." And he said, "You guys mailed me this book like 2 years ago. And I moved here with my 2-year-old and my wife. We moved from the Bay, and you sent this thing to our house." And he's like, "We call it our bucket list book."
Oh,
And my wife and I have written all over the thing. We have what's called between us, he said, we have our this thing called me and my wife, our check mark challenge. That is our check mark challenge to check off every single suggestion in your book. And he said, we've moved through all the wineries. He said, every single winery except for one we visited that you've recommended. We tried this. We loved your suggestion about this wine pairing with this. And he had like specific examples from our book of what he liked about it. He said there was one winery left. My brother's coming into town from New York this week, and we plan to visit that based on checking off that last thing off the list.
And he was at that event because of what we had posted
Yeah.
too.
So that same day, in order to help the business that is our advertiser, was hosting it, we had posted on social media that he had like $1 oysters for Mondays and as part of it, and then was hosting an event in addition. And the guy follows up and says, "And by the way, I'm here literally tonight because you posted about this event." He said, "I wouldn't even be here if it weren't for that." So, and he said, "Yeah, we've checked marked through everything." It was like we had this best friend in Elk Grove that knew every single place to go visit. And it was like in our pocket. He's like, we carried it in our vehicle. We kept it around town and we bring it in and out of our house. There's writing all over it. And it was like our personal best friend.
I love that.
The other thing I was going to speak to too, Laura, we were obviously the businesses are a big part of it too, right? That's, those are our partners, those are our clients. And I think early on we made an effort too to make sure that they were benefiting from this and the partnership. And I think one of our big things was the first year we came up on a lot of our businesses had the opportunity to decide if they wanted to stick with us or not. We really wanted to reinforce like this is a valuable partnership to stick with. So early on, we really focused a lot on how are we bringing as much value to our businesses as possible. And our big metric was, are the business staying with us? And I think we've gotten such feedback that's really interesting. It's all across the board. Some businesses just love the results. Some of them just love being a part of the community. Some of them love that they've seen their social media presence grow. Some of them, I think, just like us and want to be a part of it. And I think our first renewal cycle, we had over 100% of our ad revenue ended up renewing. And I think that for us was the big confidence boost. Like, hey, this is working. People are liking it. Obviously the readers love it, the community loves it, but the businesses are really benefiting it from it too. And I think that's been a real focus on us too, is constantly thinking like, how can we help the businesses? And
Hmm.
yeah, it's been really neat to see that. I think that was a big moment for us.
Yeah, from kind of from the get go, we plan this with how do we provide about as much value to people as we can. We're like, what can we create where businesses have to stay with us because not staying with us would cost them so much money, or it would be such a terrible decision that like they have no choice but to work with us because they love working with us so much and what we're doing is so valuable that they love the partnership that they have to advertise. And like how can we create this thing in a way that we've created so much value for people that we kind of bring on partners long term that don't leave.
You guys
Every
are,
I
I'm
just say
sorry.
everything is the way we're kind of building things through our social media, through the content in the magazine, the strategic partnerships that we've kind of made with different organizations and individuals. It's like in a way of how do we create so much value both for the business, for the new people that it's yeah, people
Yeah, it's
they
something
feel
that's
that.
they're a part of and they have to be a part of.
I love that. Can you speak more into your social media? Because I believe you guys are reaching, is it a 500,000 people a month? Like your numbers are epically huge.
Yeah, it was really
Quickly
cool.
huge.
Just in Sacramento last month, we had over 1 million views over the last 30 days. I think it was like
Wow.
1.1 million views of content and stuff that we're putting out. In Elk Grove, I think it was like 300,000 views. And Elk Grove only has, I think, 196,000 people who live in the city.
Yeah.
So, which is wild that we're reaching that many people and in such an impactful way because if we weren't and it's organic. It's not like we're doing it with paid advertising. It's organic reach, which is crazy.
I think, for me, when I first saw Be Local, I saw that it was an opportunity for more than just a magazine or a book. And I'm sure a lot of the very successful area directors can relate to that too, is it's a platform that can grow. And like we're a product of our own product, right? So every single month we're sending it out to new people that are looking for new things, but it's not going to the same person every time. So every single month our audience grows, and every single year, I think Jeremy Rents, he said that it was like a cumulative distribution. And that really spoke to me, that I saw that conversations with businesses a year, 2 years, 5 years can get different because our social media is growing. Every single month we see a bump when the magazines go out. And
Hmm.
I think in our Sacramento one, we have about 15,000 followers, and we're getting close to 11,000 Elk Grove. And it's really started to hit where it's probably doubled in the last year. So as we grow, we're creating our own community. And I think that's really leveraged a lot, where it allows our partners then to also leverage our trust and our audience. So a way that Allison's done is for our businesses, we let them know like, hey, we want to share good content. So if you have something that supports our mission and what we're about, giving back to the community, your story being family owned, things that new people or even just people in the community want to know, we can share that. And then it's even more powerful because it's not them saying, hey, look at how great we are. It's us saying, hey, we want to highlight somebody local. And I think that goes a long ways. And it's really exciting because it just has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger over time. And it'll continue to do because there's always new people that are coming in.
Yeah, we have plugs throughout the magazine and different articles for reasons why people should follow us on our social.
Huh.
And I think that there's a lot of people that read the magazine in both publications. And since it reaches a new set of eyes every month, I think that yeah, Jason said we see a bump when the magazines get sent on our that correlates with follower count.
Yeah.
So I think we're getting a lot of people that are getting the magazine and then we're providing such good content there that they're taking the next step to figure out how to stay plugged in and connected with us. So they might keep the magazine for 6 months, a year, 2 years, like Franklin said. But their social, I think I'm sure there's people that got our magazine 6 years ago that have been following our social media for 6 years. And the idea and ability to be able to have influence with somebody who's a new mover and then for 6 years after they move is like pretty powerful.
I was going to add a little something more. One of the ways that I think we did, and I would encourage other people in different communities to do this too, is when we put together the content too, we were strategic about that. So, like, the restaurant guide's one of the first things people want to know, right? So, we approached some of the different foodies that had a big following, and they love to share their perspective, and we kind of found the one or two that we really resonated with, and we asked them to work with us to put together an article. One of the influencers, he loved the idea because he said that he's always posting about all the cool things, but he doesn't have a place to send people. He doesn't have his own kind of check mark book. And so I think he got it right away. So when you start to do that for every one of your articles, Lorenzo's like, well, I need to send everybody to check this out because I get asked all the time. So he'd point them to be local. And it was a win for him because he gets to showcase what he's doing. It's a win for us because his whole audience is now going, oh, wow, we got the Lorenzo of parks now. We got the Lorenzo of kid. We got like all the different go-to spots. And I think that was a really powerful way to grow.
Yeah, being really strategic about how the magazine and the social media kind of work together to kind of give the same and similar messaging, but just in different ways on a different platform. And they both work together really well.
So, what kinds of things are you posting? I heard about them Thursdays. They get to hear like what's going on the weekend. What other things are you posting?
So I have an amazing social media manager that I started working with like 2 years ago, maybe this month. And it was kind of funny. One of the things I had put up on our social was highlighting a post, highlighting the contributors in the magazine and talking about
Yeah.
their story. And it was such a cool post. It was kind of honoring somebody that we worked with. It was a local foodie. And I got a message from this random girl that on her Instagram that says, hey, what you do is really cool. How do I become a contributor with you? And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." At the time, I was running all of our socials, and it's like a full-time job running a social media account,
Right. Yes.
especially if you're doing it the right way and providing good content. And I kind of checked and learned in, and she is a local influencer, has her own little bit local following, and she's super passionate about the community, supporting local. And I was like, maybe this person could be our social media person. I always told Jason, like, I'll
The
run the
right
account
person will come.
I'll run the account and then eventually the right person will come and I'll know the person when I see them. So I met with her and she's ended up being the most amazing addition to our team for putting stuff together with really similar goals, a similar values. So she works with me to help put together all the content. Her name's Maya. And so one of the things that Maya and I do, we get together periodically to put together a list of all the different things just coming up in the community or different, like May is bike month. Beginning of May also, in Sacramento, they have this thing called the Big Day of Giving, which is super important for all the nonprofits. Like thousands of nonprofits all across Sacramento County come together for Big Day of Giving, and it's promoted all across the area. And it's huge for the nonprofits. So we put together, okay, May is the Big Day of Giving. What are other events? What things in the community, parks, like what are people wanted food, where to drink, where to eat, where to take their kids and families. So we kind of made a huge list of everything. We did polls on our social media for what people wanted to hear more of. So, like on a weekly basis, Maya and I kind of go back and forth and say, hey, every single Thursday in Elk Grove, we put together a reel for what's happening in the community over the weekend. So, people are big. It's like a weekend warriors type city where they
Nice.
have all the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday events. And we put it together in a really fun reel that has like a cute background for video, for B roll footage that Maya's taken. Whether it's like the last networking chamber event
Yeah.
or the last brew fest. So we have cute video footage in the background and then we highlight all of the events happening. We include all of our advertisers events automatically. So it's been a huge way for our advertisers to get their stuff out. And in Sacramento, we do events from Tuesday through Sunday. Sacramento's a little bit bigger and there's more weekday events. So all of our advertisers send us all of their events by Friday of the prior week. And then we put a little plug for them in all of them. And then from there, we pull from some of the stuff from like the city of Elk Grove or the big like city of Elk Grove or Sacramento events to kind of fill in the gaps. But those are huge. They've gotten a massive amount of views.
We've had a lot of the local realtors we found have found our account, and they want to be able to share. We probably have, I mean, there's probably close to 100 that have gotten connected with us that they like to share our content. So that has its legs and sometimes even reaches people that are thinking of moving before. The other thing I think that we learned early on too with our social media is we do an onboarding with all of our clients to hand deliver the first copy. I think that's super powerful. I'd encourage everybody to do that. Our most fun meeting, I would say, of the week. One thing we try to do is to grab a photo of our partners holding the magazine. And we don't have, I mean, we maybe get one a year for each partner since we have, close to 100 partners. But once a week, we try to do some sort of post introducing our partner. And it was really, I just want to show, it's really interesting that the posts that have gotten the most shares and engagement are the ones that were not trying to sell their product. Like, cause we've tried that. We've tried doing like coupons and things like that for the social media. And that just, it doesn't really, people feel when they're being sold, but the ones that are like women owned, family owned in the community, those were the ones that have really gotten so much visibility. And I think that's just a lesson too for business owners that it's got its place for your coupons and you're asking for the sale. But really what lands and gets out there is telling your story.
Yeah, I think Jason's totally right. Some of the other posts that we've done that have been really popular. So February is Women's History Month. So we take all of our women-owned businesses and our social media manager works extra hard to get people in there. And we share a post about them specifically. Not just, let's say they own an HVAC company, not just like, hey, come get your HVAC done, or you need a new HVAC, go to this person. But it's like, learn about this business owner. Here's kind of how they started their business. Here's a little bit of info about them, and here's ways they give back. And here's where you'll kind of see them involved in the community. And then them talking about why it's important for them to support local. And I think that it lets people connect with that business a little bit differently in like, again, the same type of trustworthy way that builds community that shows that they're a part of something rather than just trying to sell an HVAC.
They're not just a blue link on Google for HVAC near me.
Right.
They're a member of the community with kids that have lived here for 20 years or whatever, their story is as a human.
Yeah, one of them that we did that was really cool was for an auto body shop. And Mike and Joy are the owners. Joy, we did a post on introducing her and it was really cool. One of the things that she had said, and again, it's one thing to be like, hey, you need your car fixed, go to this auto body shop. It's another person like place to say, hey, this is Joy. She's had her business for 30 years. She actually used to write handwritten notes to new movers.
Yeah.
She did it for like
30 years ago, right?
30 years ago. She did it for years, like 15 years. She would write handwritten notes and mail them out. because she wanted people to connect and know who she was. She's like, I don't know that I could trace it back to a specific number of sales, but I know that it made a difference in how I built my business. But it was like sharing kind of that. I remember her telling one of the things, she's like, hey, we're all the ones that are sponsoring all of our, we have kids, we have grandkids. We're the ones sponsoring all like the little leagues in the community. So people see our name all over the place for those reasons. We give back to all the nonprofits, and being able to kind of take that and share it in social media in a way has like really resonated with our followers, I think. So those
Hmm.
are some that have done really well, are introducing like the people behind the businesses.
Well, and I can see why you guys have done so well with renewals because you're being very careful about who you allow into your Be Local family, that they have a mindset like that, that they want to be a part of welcoming new people and they're not looking for an immediate sale to attribute to an ad. They're wanting to be a part of what you're building there. So I can imagine that you guys have done an amazing job building your culture of more and more people like that, and that's why you have such a high renewal rate. Have you guys ever heard of the book called Unreasonable Hospitality?
Yes. Is that
Yeah.
the guy who had a bunch of different restaurants? I have
Yes.
that. I think I
So,
have it on my list
yes.
for
I,
books to read.
I was
That's funny.
listening to he's on Donald Miller's most recent podcast, Story Brand podcast, and I was listening to
Yeah.
it yesterday. And he said, when you make people feel seen, and you make them feel like they belong, it's not only the right thing to do as a human, it is a competitive advantage for your business. And I rewound that statement and I played it like 3 times so I could get it into my memory. I'm like, when you make people feel seen and you make them feel like they belong, it's not only the right thing to do as a human, it's a competitive advantage. And I think what you guys have just described to me is exactly what you're doing. You're making people feel seen and you're making people feel like they belong. And it's the right thing to do as a human. And you have clearly a competitive advantage. You are truly building community in your town.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what
that's what we wanted to create from the beginning. Like we did have a sales background that had kind of a shorter cycle and we that again has its place, but we wanted to create a community. We wanted to create a business. And I think a big part of that was making people feel special and that they have to be with us long term. And it's worked out that way, which has been great to see.
Are you guys also working with your city and your chamber and like any other like civic leaders? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so that was one of the things that I was really strategic about
Yeah.
initially from the get-go of how do we work with the most trusted
Yeah.
organizations in the city, not just people, but organizations. So I remember approaching the city of Elk Grove. The city of Elk Grove has our front inside cover advertiser. So I've worked with them for now 5.5 years. And I remember initially going in there to talk to them. I met with the city manager and telling them, okay, from the city manager's office, here's what we're looking for, here's what we're looking to do, here's how we want to do it. We want to work alongside you guys. We don't want to be seen as competition. We want to work alongside you guys. And they got it. They said that they had a ton of new people moving. They've tried just sending mailers out to people or like little postcards and stuff, but they hadn't really found an effective way. So I think they got it. And I told them, I was like, hey, we want to build this thing alongside you. So they've been amazing strategic partners. One of the reasons our social media and events and everything's been so powerful is the city, they send me the master city calendar at the beginning of each year, which is amazing to have. Like every cool city event that happens,
Yeah.
every like their Friday music, their December Christmas events, like from every organization, the park and rec department stuff is on there. The chamber stuff is on there. The local nonprofit stuff is on there. So literally the city's master calendar. So I get sent the city's master calendar at the beginning of the year. That's what we use to update our events in the magazine, and then also use that pretty strategically throughout the year to help promote all the events. The city and the park and rec department also have a lot of footage from these things that they share with me before the events that allow me to help post really good content on our socials. So that's been an amazing relationship.
I kind of wanted I should speak a little. I'll let Allison take over the story, but I think she's a perfect example of approaching these organizations. Kind of the philosophy we've taken would be local, and we'd encourage a lot of businesses too. She didn't go to try to sell the city. She went to them and say, "Hey, we want to bring a lot of value to the city." And it was actually after some time that they started to reach out to us. And the same thing happened with a lot of the other organizations, like the tourism board and then CSD, right? Didn't you met one of the
Yeah,
realtor?
so Consumnes
Sorry.
CSD is a do you wanna tell it?
No,
You
you
want me
should
to?
tell the story.
Okay, so Consumnes CSD is the Park and Rec department in Elk Grove. And Jason had approached them, and we'd both approached them for advertising and to talk to them, like, early on.
So I tried all the traditional approach, go in there and just never really got, you know, didn't get into the right person.
And it was so funny. I had met with a realtor because we work with, like I said, Jason and I part with a lot of realtors to help share the content. And I met with one of the realtors and was telling him about it, telling him how he could use it, how he could share content with his clients, how it makes people feel seen. I got a really cute local tip from him. He's always been really involved in like 4-H and FFA in the community. So I got like a really cute local tip about getting involved through those organizations. And then I remember asking him, I was like, going through and showing him all the advertisers and was like, he said, "Hey, have you ever talked to Consume Nice Park and Rec?" I was like, "Yeah, I have never been able to get to the hold of the right person there." He goes, "Okay, hold on one sec. Let me make a quick phone call while we're sitting here." And so he picks up the phone and says, "Hey, I'm meeting about this thing called Be Local right now. Why are we not in here?"
The city's in here, everyone's in
he said,
here. Yeah.
he said, "I don't understand why we're not in this thing." And yes, okay, so I need you, Allison. How much was it? Okay, I need us to allot this amount of money to this right now. Yes, let's get this in the budget. It needs to be in here. We need to have our presence in here. Everyone else is in here. And this thing is really cool and beneficial for people. So yeah, we need to make sure the money's allotted to this. Okay, you got Allison's info. Okay, I'm gonna send it over. She's gonna connect with you today. And then he hangs up the phone. He's like, "Oh, I'm president of the board."
Oh,
Um,
And then the next day we get a phone call going, yeah, so we need to be in this thing.
we're really sorry
Bill
that
said,
we
we're really sorry.
we're really sorry we're not in it yet. We have no idea how we're not, but like we really need to be. Can we please meet? We've already have the budget set up. We'd like to have take care of everything. We absolutely have to be in here. Now they have two ads with us.
Yeah.
But
And it's
yeah,
been like 4 or 5 years now.
and they've been amazing partners to work with. We get video footage from them to help share. They absolutely love working with us. We actually have a bigger social presence than they do now on social media. So yeah, they've been some of the most amazing partners to work with. And like kind of like in Elk Grove specifically, the kind of the big three organizations are like the Board of Tourism, the city, and the Park and Rec department. And then I think there's us, which is the next. So we've done a really good job of figuring out how we could position ourselves to come alongside these big three as the additional resource that wants to work with them, not in competition, but like wants to help take what they have and get it out to people in like a really trustworthy way. So I think we've
mm.
really made a point of trying to strategically do
Make
that in a way
everything
that brings them
collaborative.
value in a collaborative way.
You guys are amazing. I'm taking notes because I'm like, I'm learning from you. I run a Be Local. So good. So good. So you were talking about the big three. When you told the story about the president of the board that called and said, why are we not in this? Like, I don't know about you guys, but I've occasionally run into an owner of a business that has said to me, why are we not in this? And I've said,
Yeah.
well, we've met with your office manager or we've met with your marketing director and we couldn't get past them. It
Yeah.
is, I think for all of the young area directors that might be listening to this podcast right now, keep going, get in front of the right person because the right person gets it. To the right person, it is a no-brainer. And if someone doesn't see it as a no-brainer, you're not talking to the right person.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, I think sometimes it's different ways too, you know. Sometimes it's a walk-in or a call, or sometimes you meet them through their spouse or whatever it is. So I think that was another lesson is like just every different way. You never know where, as long as you're looking to give and provide value, it finds its way to come back to you and you tend to attract the right people.
That's so good. So I'm going to ask you guys for your advice to serve three different audiences. One is the young Be Local area director that is building their Be Local and trying to make an impact on their community. What is your advice for that person?
You want to start? Can you remember back to our early days?
No,
I would say, start with why.
that's
I
good.
think that's the big thing. I know early on when you're kind of in ramp up and just going, it's hard because you want to think about, what you need, right? And if you can think of the bigger picture of like, why am I doing this and why does the community need this, then you'll start to take the right actions and do the right thing. I think that's the first thing.
I agree with that actually. I remember when Jason and I were brand new, we had was it Simon Sinek, the Start With Why?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
I remember we were like, okay, how do we have a good, powerful why that people feel compelled to work with more so than just like the technical things about what we do? Like, how do we have a good why? And Jason and I were like, okay, our why is we want to help small businesses win. And that's
Yes.
like thing, like our goal is to help small businesses win. So how do we build our business, talk to people, and everything we do with is the intention of helping small businesses win. And I think starting with why.
And then I think the other thing too is, again, it's not, and I think this goes for any business too, like not everybody is your partner. And the name of the game is not to convince people to be your partner or your client or your customer. Your mission is to find them. And so, we said like, there's 100, if we find 100 partners in the community that really align with Be Local, see value in it, have registered that like new movers make a lot of sense, they like the brand, like, that's really all we can have actually, and there's like what, 3,000 plus different businesses. So the goal is just to go find them. And I think whenever our mindset was at the finding who you can serve instead of convincing somebody to partner, that just unlocks everything.
Yes. Well, and at the end of the day, we have limited space. We can only grow to 120 pages. So we can maybe serve 80 businesses, 90 businesses, depending on what ad sizes they're buying. Yeah, I often think you're lucky to be in here because there's tens of thousands of businesses in this town. And we're really looking for that top, 5% of brands that get it. They know that they need a system to stay in front of new people, or their brand awareness will be diluted by the population growth, right? So we don't need everybody. We need the people that understand that and get it and get our mission.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say for someone who's brand new is like, if someone says no right now when they're brand new, that doesn't mean in 6 months or a year or two
Definitely.
years that it's also a no. Businesses change, people change within the businesses like kind of how they're strategizing and planning on growing, or if they're trying to grow at that moment or they're whatever, change and grow. So if someone thinks a no right now, in 6 months, it might not be, or like a year it might not
Absolutely.
be. So when you're meeting with people, don't ever build a bridge, make people feel good. They might not remember um, your specific product, but if they might remember you. So if you create a good impression, you could totally go back in 6 months or a year, and they go, I do not know why I didn't do this before. This is so
Well, a
cool.
lot of times I met with them, and then Allison would meet with them and like, wow, this is so much better than the first time. I had no idea. That's our secret weapon. Right.
Yeah, we
So
do
Allison.
we
sometimes.
send Allison in to be like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Or the other way around. It's like, I don't know why it didn't work, but I think they'd be a good partner. You should go back in and go talk to them. But Jason and I were like, how do we make sure people just feel good, feel seen, that they have a good experience talking to us? Because if it's a no now, it might not be later. And I just want them to remember that they enjoyed our meeting.
That's so good. And it is about the bigger why. I call us a community service. I really say we're not about advertising. Like that's something that happens, but it's about the service to the new person and to the local community, all these other partners that we've just talked about that are feeling connected and lifted up and visible because of what we're doing. So what advice do you have for a local business that's trying to figure out, okay, first of all, is there a Be Local in my town? Like, where would they go to figure that out? And then second of all, if they are curious about Be Local, how do they decide if they're a good fit for Be Local?
You want to go? Well, first of all, you can go to the website, belocalpub.com, and they have all the different locations. So that would be the first thing I'd check out and have a conversation with the area director there. I think that one of the things that we say for every business we meet with is we're not a fit for everybody. And so I think just having the conversation is really the first thing. And then I think the next thing, as far as if you're a business that would be a good fit for Be Local, is do you want to be locally loved? Do you want to be a trusted local business? I think that's the first thing. I think the other thing is if new movers are a demographic that makes a lot of sense for you. There's some businesses that it's not a perfect fit for that, but there's also some businesses that it's kind of a slam dunk. Like restaurants or like dentists come to mind that just makes so much sense, that it's so competitive and everyone's going to need them, that being that first one seen is huge. you want to add a little bit? So-
Yeah, I was going to say for any business, go on our website and take a look at all the locations on there. And we have links to each magazine in each area on there. So find your local magazine and go read through it. And if you read through it and go, wow, this is so cool. I wish I had something like this when I moved. And you resonate with the content, the other businesses, and you also want to reach new movers, like click on the thing, reach out, talk to your local area director and figure out if it's a fit to partner.
And I'll jump back in. I found this might be good to touch on. There's kind of three key types of businesses that I found that have been the best partners that we see consistently renew with us. And one I already touched on is that a business that's loyalty based, that your customer comes back on a regular basis. So again, that's dentists, that's restaurants, that's kids dance, pest control, something that's like an ongoing relationship. I think that's key. The other type of business that's done well is those big ticket businesses that's very trust based. So think HVAC, landscaper that, most people are going to check your reviews. Most people are going to Google and see what is there, but why are they going to choose you over the 10 different options they have? And we went through that too. When we moved, we got our own magazine and it's like we have so many choices. It's so interesting how much you have a feeling like I feel good things about this
I
business. I
don't
don't
know
know why.
why, but I feel like I know I've heard of them. I think I've heard good things. Like I've had positive feelings for whatever reason when you're looking through that big list.
And then I would say the third one is the one that just cares about the community, wants to be known as a community supporter. And we have quite a few businesses that, again, it's like new movers might not be perfect for me. I don't know that I need to advertise, but I think there's so much value in just being known as a community staple. And we wanted to build our brand in a way that, like, we have a little sticker we give to people that says, be local preferred partner. And there's a lot of pride in that. And I think if
Yes.
you're a business that you like to sponsor the little leagues, you like to be seen as a community leader, be local is a great way to do it in a way where you're not soliciting to the community, you're supporting the community.
Well said. What would you say to a business that says, well, what's my ROI? Like, what should I expect from this? What would you say?
I would say you have to try things out to figure out what works and doesn't work for you. Like starting a business in general is a gamble and it's a risk. So you have to try different things to figure out what works and what doesn't. So like the idea of trying to just give you an ROI, like I don't know, give it a try. We have like 70% of our businesses that renew with us year after year, which means for some people it works amazing, for some people it doesn't, but like you have to try things to figure out what works with your business and what doesn't. And for the businesses that have renewed with us every year, year after year, it's like when you find something that works, that's like it's gold, you keep it and you keep doing it.
Yeah, I find the ROI question is a little bit of a knee jerk reaction a lot of the times. Like, I think one of the questions is what do you define as, a return? Some businesses need phone calls, some businesses need like X amount of dollars that they've gotten. But what about the value of your growing your presence on social media? Or I think, again, it's ROI is tricky. Like, what we do when we shop for things, we look them up and we go check the Googles and the Yelps, and then it's like, why do we pick those people? Like, yes, it's reviews, but maybe I saw them on a billboard. Maybe I saw them in a magazine. Maybe I just have a good feeling about them. So I think the question is, what kind of return are you looking for? Is it just strictly dollars and cents, or is it trust? And we've seen that ourselves in our business that, again, a lot of the things that have been the most impactful for us was not trying to get a return. The return comes if you look to give. And so I think that's my biggest advice to a business is everything has its place to look to how am I going to get. But if you look to give first, that's where you get the biggest return.
Absolutely. I mean, I think about if you put your logo on a Little League team's t shirt, or you put your image on a billboard, or you, I don't know, put a sign at a bus stop bench. Like, all of those things are building your brand and they have that cumulative effect. And you're not going to be able to be like, oh, well, they came to me because they saw my logo on my grandson's baseball team shirt, right? So I think Be Local is one of those many things that people can do to build their brand and be seen. And we help them be seen in such a trusted, credible way. Because as you guys have exhibited today, you pour your hearts into your content and your social. and you build that trust with community leaders, and you have these partnerships with these community leaders that our trusted local businesses can stand on our shoulders to be seen as trusted partners and not just solicitors, right?
Absolutely.
So, and what advice would you have for maybe a city that does not have a Be Local? But today's conversation has sparked, oh, maybe I should have a Be Local. Like, what does that even look like? How would I even go about that?
Well, I'll tell you what we did kind of. First of all, I think you need to just get the word out there, whether it is posting on your socials or your network. But I think there's a lot of people out there that are like us that want to showcase their community and like exploring and seeing new things. And I think that was us. And once you just get out there, when you find the person that's curious about it, go through the website, belocalpub.com, and through each of the you can see the different area directors that are there. There's a place where you can message them and feel free to reach out and ask people about their experience. I mean, you've experienced it probably more than us, Laura, just doing this podcast. Everyone's got their different reason and why to do it. There's always a common theme, but what attracts somebody might be different to somebody else. But I think the spirit of it is the community.
And I would say there's people in the community that we've met that they're already doing something fairly similar, but whether it's with their website or their influencers, and they're trying to share some of the same stories in just a different way of sharing some of those same like type of stories and places to go and ways to kind of get involved. And
Yeah, I think maybe some of the different influencers in the community that their content is like sharing local spots because there's a lot of them. And I think if they just are aware that there's an opportunity like this out there, it might spark that interest. Again, we weren't for sure, but as we started talking to more people, it's like this is really cool. And I kept coming back to that because it's challenging to start a business. I don't care what business it is.
That's right.
We used to joke the days of the panic attack Monday. They're long gone now, but we keep coming back to like, what we're doing is really cool. It's really cool. And I think that was so because we did come from door to door where that wasn't always cool, Laura. Like not everyone was excited when we were there.
I don't know
And
how you did that.
yeah, and that's a different conversation. But it was like, I think, I think be local. It was just cool to be like, I love wearing my shirt that says be local. I was walking the other day just to the park and someone yelled out, he's like, "Hey, really cool shirt. I like it." And I didn't realize I was like, it is cool. It is really cool.
Anybody that doesn't want to be a part of their local community. I feel like whether it's a longtime local or even a newcomer or whoever it might be, all of them connect with this idea of local, right? That's Be Local resonates. That's why I created this podcast, Be Locally Loved. It's like I wanted to inspire citizens to step up and get involved in their community. And whether you're a mom blogger or a foodie or whatever you might be, like reach out to your local area director because there's probably a chance for you to help get people excited about whatever you're excited about, parks and restaurants and events and festivals, whatever it might be, right?
Can we ask you a question, Laura?
Of course.
We're always asking all the questions. What have you learned from doing the podcast? I think it's so cool to get like different people's
it's
and
okay.
what maybe what suggest. It's easy for us to get into our routines, right? Like talking to everybody. Do you have any advice or any takeaways? What's been your biggest takeaway with doing the podcast?
So, what I've noticed is that everyone has their own flavor, which is why I was taking lots of notes as you guys were talking. I was like, oh, that's brilliant. I need to do that. We all do it from, I think, our heart of service. I think we all share a heart for service and a heart for elevating our community and our heart for connecting people, kind of going back to that unreasonable hospitality, helping people be seen, helping people feel like they belong. When I was in Ramp Up, I read a book called The Power of Moments. And it talked about how if you can find a moment that is ordinary and do something to elevate it, to make it extraordinary, that's something people remember forever. And that really resonated for me running a Be Local. Is I'm like, when someone moves, they are overwhelmed. They're excited, but they're overwhelmed and they're feeling maybe a little disconnected and a little bit alone. And, like that first day of kindergarten kind of feeling. Nobody likes that. So when Be Local shows up in the moment, it's got the power and the credibility to get past that trash can, get into the living room, and give them that we see you. We noticed you're new in our community and you bought a home and here's how you can belong. Here's events you can come to and festivals and restaurants you'll want to try and parks you want to visit, those with the bathrooms. Like what I've noticed as I talk to different area directors around the country is that we all share the desire to serve our community. We all do it maybe a little bit differently, but we all share that at our heart.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I want Be Locally Loved to be something that is a beacon for people like us to find this career opportunity. I mean, there's people right now that are losing their jobs because of the economy, people that are losing their jobs because of AI. We want them to know like there's opportunities around the US. If you want to live in a highly desirable city where people want to move to and there's not a Be Local, like you could be a Be Local area director and help serve your community in this way. And I want Be Locally Loved to let the business owners know that we have a path to help you be seen as a trusted local resource and not a solicitor. Like you can partner with, I just gave my BNI presentation on Tuesday and I led with that Be Local is an influencer because we influence how people see local businesses and we influence where people go for dinner and we influence how they feel about their town and we influence how they connect with their history. Like we just are privileged to be able to do something like this. Yeah. So I've learned a lot and I'm hoping to just inspire other people to help us touch more people, touch more cities and help communities thrive across the US.
We do get that all the time where people are like, do you have a Be Local here? Or my, mom lives over there. Is there something? And I love what you said on one of your other calls about we're in a trust recession. I think that's so true.
Yes.
And I think AI is going to do so many great things for people, but there is a little pendulum that it's like, what do we trust? I've had that thought a lot with Allison of like, I feel like Be Local is something that Greg Lucan, he's the guy who owned the Kings. He was like his language was like, I think this thing really has some legs.
He said that over and over.
And I was like,
Yep.
it does. It's kind
Yep.
of it grows kind of on its own, and like who doesn't want to be more connected with their community? And as technology comes, there's some of it that brings us together, but there's a lot that makes us more and more isolated. And it's been really really neat to see that. So I love that you're doing this, and it's great to hear perspectives from other people. I think that's one other advice for business owners too. I was going to say is the business owners that do the best in the community. I've noticed they get connected with other business owners
Yes.
and they look to help them. And again, it's not always like a transaction. It's like, how can I help support you? And then naturally it just comes back more. So I think what you're doing here is really doing that for our brand as well.
And that's why I appreciate the kind words, you guys. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Let us know how people can follow you online. Tell us your social, your website.
So go to belocalpub.com and you can find us either in Sacramento or Elk Grove, California. And then on socials, you can follow us at belocalsacramento or at belocalelk Grove.
Thank you guys so much. It was like a huge honor to have you on the show today. Thank you for sharing your passion and your expertise and being a beacon for the Be Local brand across the nation.
Thanks, Laura.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us on Be Locally Loved. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, and share this conversation with someone who believes in the power of being locally loved. Until next time, keep showing up, serving others well, and building the kind of trust and connection that makes communities stronger.